Aloha everyone, Ronnie Landis here, and welcome to another episode of the official Ronnie Landis podcast show. I am very excited about today's episode. I'm always excited about every episode, to be honest with you, but this one in particular just really gives me a tingle. You know, it's kind of like that twinkle in a child's eye. It's something very unique about this gentleman that we're going to go into. We're going to jump into that. But before we do, I want to let you know, if this is your first time hearing the show or maybe hearing about me or what I do, I'm the founder of the Holistic Health Mastery Program, which is an integrative and holistic nutrition certification course. It's an online-based course, video-based course, and this program goes through the ins and the outs of nutrition, natural nutrition, raw living foods nutrition, superfood nutrition, tonic herbalism, detoxification, cleansing protocols, hormone balancing, neurological therapies, and nutrition for neurological conditions. So much more. I invite you to go to holistichealthmastery.com and see everything that we offer, see if it resonates with you. And yeah, I wanted to put that out there. And also, feel free to go to my personal website, www.ronnie, that's RONNIE, _Landis, LANDIS.com for more information on me, a lot of video content from YouTube and different interviews, a lot of radio shows that I've been on, a lot of things like that. You can find more information about me on those two websites. Okay, let's get back to the matter at hand. Now, the guest that I have on my show today, this is one of our remastered, archived interviews from my previous podcast in 2013, which was the Expanded Health and Human Potential radio show. And I interviewed over 27 of the world's leading experts in natural health and detoxification therapies and peak performance in general. And this individual was my very first interview, and he actually endorsed my most recent book, The Inner Alchemy Youthening Program. This individual is Peter Ragnar. Now, Peter Ragnar is something of a legend in the nutrition world. I shouldn't even say the nutrition world. I should say the health, the holistic health, the longevity-specific health world, the health field. And just such an interesting character. We've become friends over, social media and have had a lot of discussions and really gotten a feel for one another. And there's a lot of great stories there, but without going into all of those, I just want to say that this man is a living embodiment, a personification of the work that he does. There's a lot of mystery shrouded around Peter, or I should say there used to be a lot of mystery shrouding around Peter because he used to be very reclusive. There was kind of like legends and lore in the health field about Peter. Nobody really knew how old he was. Some people thought he was like 90 or 100 or something like that. Just all this interesting kind of mystery or mythology around Peter. And the man is real. He's real. He's solid. The man, the legend, the myth. He's a real human being. And he's come out more recently in terms of, coming out on social media, posting more stuff about what he does and sharing his deep, deep wisdom with the world. And I'm so thankful for that. And, there's so much I could say about this interview specifically. We really dive into the nuts and bolts of health, his personal nutrition and dietary regimen. We talk a lot about hormones. We talk a lot about longevity and achieving happiness in your life as a modality for health in of itself. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you Mr. Peter Ragnar. Enjoy. Hey everybody, this is Ronnie Landis, and I am very excited to bring you the first official podcast interview for the Expanded Health and Human Potential radio show. And today I have a very incredible guest joining me. His name is Peter Ragnar, and this man needs no introduction to our community. I've been getting tons of questions flooding in on my Facebook for people that want to ask this man questions on all kinds of topics relating to nutrition, how to optimize their nutrition strategy, and how to activate more longevity promoting qualities, not only for the quantity in their years, but the quality of their years. And that's something I'm really interested in diving in with Peter. So with no further ado, let's bring him on. How you doing, Peter?
I'm doing terrific there, Ronnie. Very honored to be on your show. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a huge honor for me. I've been following you for a number of years now, and I've known about you. I think I first got tuned into you a few years ago when one of my friends was trying to turn me on to Kevin Trudeau, actually. Or not really trying. I mean, I definitely got into his material and all the stuff that he was promoting. And I think he did an interview with you, and that's when I first learned about you. And then I got into your material, and just very excited to be here with you.
Oh, well, thank you, Ronnie. Yeah, that's. I guess that goes back quite a ways with Kevin and I. He'd been after me for a number of years to do something with him, and I remember when he put together his book, Natural Cures They Don't Want You to Know About, and I was very honored to be featured in the book. But, it goes back to living a lifestyle that is in harmony with nature and just being in tune with your surroundings. So I think that was probably a very big message, especially for people who are very busy. The message is, hey, slow down a little bit. You'll have plenty of time if you slow down. If you rush, you won't.
Right. That's an interesting idea, and that's something that's definitely been a big focal point in my life, because I think all of us are kind of products of this society where it's very fast paced, go, push it to the limit. And I definitely have been like that most of my life. And I've found that if I want to produce more results, I actually have to take a step back and evaluate what I'm investing my time and energy into, and and by getting into natural nutrition, getting into more of a naturalistic lifestyle and mindset has been a huge asset for me. So I think our viewers are going to benefit tremendously from all the wisdom and experience that you're going to be able to give us.
Thank you very much, Ronnie. As you were just mentioning the pace of living, isn't it interesting when you think about this, that fast foods equal poor health, where slow foods equal vibrant health.
Yeah.
And it's so much of a different approach that when we slow down and concentrate on whatever we're doing and we really focus on it, not only do we become more effective, we actually end up producing more because our energies are concentrated.
Right.
It's so amazing. It's just like when we eat. When we sit down and we eat slowly, all of a sudden we start releasing all of the enzymes, all of the valuable nutrients in our saliva that allows us to really digest the food and to get the most out of it. So eating slower gives us more. Eating faster gives us less. I mean, look at the people that gulp down food and they don't get anything out of it.
Right.
And the reason they eat so much is because they didn't get what they needed in what they ate. So the body says, you got to eat more, get hungry.
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting your nutrition. But again, here we have this contest between fast and slow, And as we slow down, we intensify our energy levels. It's sort of neat because it almost seems counterproductive or counterintuitive.
Yeah, but
if I go faster, I'll get more. No, if you go slower, you get more.
yeah, it's slow and steady wins the race, right?
Yeah, that's that consistency.
Yes.
And when people are looking at their health, it's not trying to cram everything into one day.
Mm-hmm.
It's setting a pattern, a program where you do it every day with consistency.
Yeah.
And it's the consistency over the long haul. It's just like, Ronnie, when people want to start getting in shape. They run down to the gym, they work out like crazy, and then a couple of weeks later, you don't see them at the gym any longer. Because they did too much too quickly. Instead of saying, okay, I'm going to do what I can do today. And you're going to do a little bit maybe. But you're going to do it on a regular basis. And pretty soon it becomes a habit pattern. You stick with it. The years roll by. The fat rolls off. You find that you're putting on lean muscle mass, feeling great. Your vitality is up. And here you are, years later, because you did a little thing and you stuck with it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, and I think that may be one of the most important, if not the core message for kind of this shift that we're embarking on and getting out of this kind of rat race mentality. And I think that is the key to longevity as far as a principle or a philosophy is actually how do we extend the quality in our years, and actually that quality from my perspective is actually what creates the propensity towards longevity. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely, Ronnie. Because look at this. If you're enjoying each day, you just relish what you're doing. You're just so thoroughly into it. That joy guarantees you that the next day is going to be just like that. And the reason for that is whatever emotion we're putting out there, whatever we're feeling, the universe matches that with circumstances and situations that allow us to have more of it. And if this day that we're living right now is so complete, so fully, thoroughly lived, you have created a glorious tomorrow. There's no rush or race. There's not a finish line in sight.
This just brings up some interesting ideas inside of me and things that I've been thinking about. It's like people are in such a rush to get over with the day because they're in a habitual pattern of doing things that they don't want to do, and they're people are backed up from head to toe, so it causes all these emotional issues and mental constraints, and they're just locked into these constrictive patterns of our civilization. And so it's almost like people are in a hurry to get off this planet because they're having such a their experience that they've set up for themselves is it's not what they would. It's not what is possible for them, and it's really not bringing out their higher faculties. And I feel like people are in such a rush to get off here, they don't even want to be here. But when you are in love with life and you are healthy and you have a clarity of mind, clarity of spirit, it's like you start to really love every moment. You like there's no rush to get to tomorrow. There's no rush, like you said, to get to the finish line. It's just like I am so into squeezing out every ounce of life force energy out of every day, and I feel like the more you want to be on the planet, the longer you'll be here.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, too. Why do people rush? Because they believe on a subconscious level there isn't enough time. So if I believe subconsciously there isn't enough time, then I've got to get it all done now. I've got to race to get it done. However, if inside you, you know that you have forever, do you get in a hurry? No, you just enjoy the moment because you can afford to. You're not threatened by the future. Only if you're threatened by the future will you have to race.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful, and your clarity is really inspiring. I'm getting excited just for this moment right now. It's really cool. So I think this is a good segue into my first question for you. I think we have a relation in our background. I actually grew up primarily as a martial artist from the age of 4 on. So I was raised in more of the Eastern philosophy and the Eastern disciplinarianism, and having a martial arts background really tuned me into a lot of these ideas of slowing down, practice what you preach, focus on the details, take time to perfect your craft. And I know that you've been a martial artist for a long time, right?
Probably well over 60 years.
Wow. And what you just said right there is going to lead me into I'll just have to ask you this question now, because one thing about you, Peter, is that there's this kind of anti-aging, I don't know if the right word is phenomena or theme that goes on when I listen to people that interview you. It kind of is a theme that goes on where everyone wants to know, how old is Peter Ragnar? And you just said you've been doing martial arts for over 60 years. So automatically in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, well, he probably didn't pop out of the womb with, and start doing it. So, I'm like, okay, well then how old is Peter? So I guess the question I want to ask you here is, like, how do you actually feel about chronological age? Do you feel that it's even relevant?
No, Ronnie. It has no relevance whatsoever. I mean, ripping calendar pages off the wall doesn't age you. I mean, time, like I'm fond of saying, I don't know where I got this little cliche, but time isn't toxic. Time can't kill you.
Right. It's just
it has no effect whatsoever on human flesh. It's just that we believe this as a self-fulfilling prophecy, that the clicking of a clock somehow makes your skin age. It hasn't anything to do with it. Our body has this infinite plasticity to it. It's self-regulating, self-generating, self-sustaining, self-governing, and it does this whether you're 6 years old, 60 years old, or 90 years old, or 160.
Yeah.
It is a natural mechanism of the body to repair itself. Now, the only thing that happens over time is that it's the accumulation of decades upon decades of bad habits, bad thinking. I think it was Zig Ziglar said, stinking thinking.
Yeah.
And it is just that. It's thinking in a limited way. What we're doing is projecting our fears into the future. And every time we project our fears and anxiety into the future, we reap the benefit or the detriment of that in the present moment by heightened levels of stress hormones. I mean, cortisol goes through the roof. Our adrenal glands get milked like we were dairy cows. You wonder why we age?
Yeah.
I mean, all you have to do is look at your face in the mirror after you've had a real stressful day and the anxiety's been pumping, and you will like age before your very eyes. But if you reverse that, look at your face in the mirror in the evening after you've had a beautifully satisfying, fulfilling day, doing what you really, really love doing, being with the people you really, really love being with, and you'll say, wow, I look different. Yeah, you do. You have the light in your eyes, the sparkle in your in your skin and hair, and this is real, because this is the electromagnetism of the physical body. Mm-hmm. It's in your aura. All of a sudden, you literally light up, because we are made of light, and that's what happens. We're just simply activating that switch. We light up, our skin glows, our eyes sparkle. You're alive because you focus on life.
Right, and you get what you focus on. Attention goes where energy flows, and if you're focused on life instead of... so there's an idea in nutrition that I've been really thinking about as far as like kind of my personal approach to nutrition is this idea of putting life against life in terms of living food, fermented foods, things of this nature that have life and that promote the growth of life within our physical medium, instead of this kind of societal attitude towards pitting death against life, trying to obtain vitality through the pharmaceutical idea, through medical intervention, through kind of cooked food, dead foods, all this, the whole gamut of civilized eating, quote unquote. And it ties into what you're talking about is really stacking the odds in your favor in terms of every aspect of your life, not just the food, not just the thoughts, not just kind of the meditative aspect, but really combining all these attributes for a holistic point of view.
Absolutely. Total agreement.
Great. Okay, so I want to ask you this question now that I brought up the nutrition side of it. This is an area a lot of people are curious about. I'm curious too, because I don't really have the full picture as far as your perspective. If you could give me kind of like a basic framework of what is Peter Ragnar's personal nutrition strategy?
Well, that's an interesting way to put it, Ronnie. I don't know that I have if strategy is the word. Now, the strategy would be the word if I was struggling with some ailment.
Right.
Then I would have to strategically plan how I'm going to avoid that dilemma. Every day when I get up, I appreciate life. Everything that I put in my mouth, I bless. This morning, my breakfast, I had fresh blueberries and raspberries with hemp seed, and that's always my breakfast pretty much. But as I put that in my mouth, I bless the saliva, I bless the berries, and I spend a moment with it before I swallow, just welling up that feeling of tremendous thankfulness. That changes what happens to the food. Now, the food already has life and light in it. And that's very, very interesting, because food that is healthy, that's living, gives off a particular light, which you can take a spectrometer and look at it. And biologists do this, people who study agriculture do this, and it has a left spin or a right spin. In other words, it's the way the light comes through this little prism that spins in a particular direction.
Right.
And that basically, in very simple language, that says if it's catabolic or anabolic, if it's giving off growth or it's dying. Well, when we bless food, we intensify that right spin phenomena. In other words, we add energy to energy. Appreciation magnifies nutrition. Very, very important. I mean, this is also, I mean, people who eat a dead food diet, if they appreciate their food and they're thankful, will change the structure of that food. How much more so with a live food diet? So my particular program for eating and my guidelines are to eat as much that is produced by my own hand and the least amount from what somebody else has created. As directly as possible. It's like when my wife Katrina was preparing the seeds that went in our garden. What she did, every single seed that was planted was blessed. The seeds then were put in our greenhouse area, the area we were using to grow the seeds this winter, and they had music played to them, and these were beautiful chants, that melodic chants, mantras that have been designed thousands and thousands of years ago to enhance life. So now those little sprouts that grew from that are planted and blessed again as they're planted in the garden. And as those plants mature and give birth to their offspring, their food, the blossoms and the fruit, that again is blessed. And it's it's such a delightful process to participate in. Last year, I remember when we were harvesting some of our tomatoes, every tomato that I picked, I thanked the plant for the tomato. And these were little cherry tomatoes, and I think I picked like 1,000 of them. Because we dehydrated a lot of them, and I think the blessing made the sugar content, the natural sugar content in the tomato, even sweeter. I mean, it's just like candy. But
yeah.
It just, that whole process, being involved in the whole production. Now, naturally, there are things that I order that we get from ordering online, and things other people send us, which we're very, very thankful for. But my strategy, as such, is to live as deliberately as possible by my own hand.
I think that is a really powerful philosophy to apply, where it's not so much focused on, okay, I'm 90% this, where we're trying to do some kind of mathematical equation to get the diet thing right, when the reality is there is no getting it right. You just have to feel your way through it, as you obviously know. And I really like that philosophy, is I think a lot of people kind of struggle on this end. I know as a nutritionist, I deal with people, and there's a lot of kind of neurosis that goes along with the nutrition and diet world, and there's a lot of kind of diet wars and this, that, and the other that we don't necessarily need to get into. But I really like your philosophy of it brings in this slow down, relax, express gratitude for what you have now, and being really to me, that is actually being in tune with the natural flow of the world, or the natural flow of nature, is being grateful for every single tomato that you picked. You express gratitude. Like we forget to do that so often, and I just think that's such a powerful concept to relay.
Yeah, it really is, Ronnie, because something else starts happening. You start to realize that you are all part of this energy field.
Mm-hmm.
That there is this oneness with nature, a harmony with nature, a harmony with all things, and you realize that all things are so intricately interconnected, that we're not separate beings, that we're all part of this same thing that's happening. And that, again, wells up a great deal of love. It allows you to be kind. It allows you to exercise compassion. It allows you to understand other people more, too, and understand that, they have their challenges. They have their sufferings. They have their worries. And we're just like them, except we've been able to look through that door a little bit further.
Very good point. Very good point. So we're gonna jump over here to the list of questions that we have lined up for you. We got a lot of them here, so I want to be able to run through these for the benefit of all the viewers. You ready to get into it?
I'm ready.
Okay, so the first question comes from my friend Carla Carpenter. How about some tips for staying in a healthy regimen when traveling?
Well, that's probably not a question to ask me, but actually, let me back up. I've probably traveled more recently than I have in many, many years. I spent 30 years up on the mountaintop and just basically never went anywhere. And of course, in the past few years, I've done a lot more traveling, so I understand that it can certainly be a challenge traveling. You just have to prepare ahead. Mm-hmm. If I'm going somewhere, you can always take a cooler and put stuff in that cooler, and if you're driving, that is, if you're driving from city to city, or you can always find a Whole Foods or a place like that. Go in there and stock up on their goodies, and stop at rest areas. Just take your time. Now, more and more, we're having great restaurants popping up all across the country, raw food restaurants. I know the times that Katrina and I go back up to New York City. Her family's out on Long Island, and so we go up there periodically. We always try to make it into the city to Pure Food and Wine, which is one of the most exquisite raw food restaurants, I think, anywhere in the world. And I know there's so many of them around now. But it's just about planning ahead.
Right. Yeah, I definitely think, you have to, that to me is kind of the strategy of upholding your standards for how you want to conduct your dietary lifestyles. Yeah, it's just like anything else. If you don't plan, then you're planning to fail. So, great advice. Okay, we got a question from Tim Shaddick. Is immortality possible with Peter's practices in a city environment, or is it essential to head for the hills to a more natural environment?
Well, I think the question is immortality possible? And then we can determine under what conditions and where. It's not something that I can give a definitive answer about. All I can say is that, if someone said, can you reduce or reverse aging? Absolutely, unequivocally, yes. How? Well, first of all, stop pumping your body full of stress hormones. Number one. Lower your level of anxiety. Learn to become more at peace with yourself. Learn to know yourself. Now, can you do that in a city? Absolutely. because it's an inside job. It's a do-it-yourself proposition. Will it be more difficult? Well, that depends. It depends on who you are. And it depends on how affected you are by distractions. It also depends on how you deal with pollution, how you deal with noise, how you deal with particular schedules. All of those things come into play. Now, on the reverse of that, heading for the hills, quote unquote, will not make you peaceful if you're not learning to be peaceful already. So you can get out in the country and have even more anxiety than you have in, let's say, a crime-ridden ghetto. Because there's things out here that could scare you too. And, that depends on your mindset. A lot of people feel very vulnerable when there's nobody around. Their imagination can run away with them. What do people do when they see a snake? Well, immediately all of this preconditioning, these subliminal fears and anxieties pop up. And, so you still have to deal with those things. It's dealing with the emotions that pop up that cause our body to flood with, let's say in this case, adrenaline. How do you deal with it? Well, it's a process of many, many things. One is a healthy diet to help lower the cholesterol or the cortisol levels. There are herbs, there are foods that help bring those things down. But also, it involves meditation, prayer, however you approach your spiritual life is very, very much part of that. Now, once those things are in order and the machine is humming smoothly, how long will the machine last? Well, it depends on how well you take care of it. But you got to get it fine-tuned to begin with. You can fine-tune it in the city, fine-tune it in the country, fine-tune it out in the desert. Some places easier than others. Naturally, where I live, it's quite easy. Now, I've lived in the city too, but that's a long, long time ago.
Great. The next question comes from Derek Road. Have you ever experimented using magnets for inversions? How might one do so simply?
I've played around with inversion boots many, many years ago, and I have not incorporated the two practices necessarily, but there's an idea to play with and come up with some strategies for it. I suppose, just off the top of my head, you could do you could put powerful magnets underneath a cushion, do that yogic headstand, and meditate that way. Be interesting to find out what happens.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, the next question comes from Naturally Perfect. This is something I'm really into too. I'd like to get your take on it. Are there any natural ways to reduce estrogen dominance in men and women?
Yes, there are. Estrogen, high estrogen levels are associated with high fat levels.
Right.
And, high estrogen levels obviously become a problem in prostate cancer, breast cancer. But before we go there, also realize that we pick up estrogen from plastics, from cosmetics. I mean, we live in a society that bombards us with estrogens. So it's very, very important to start looking at the things that you use on your skin. naturally the foods that we eat. But what happens, especially let's take when we're wanting to build muscle. Muscle requires testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
Testosterone, in turn, when it is being metabolized, brings out an enzyme called aromatase, which aromatase is found in the tissues of the body that turns excess testosterone into estrogen. Now, the aromatase is found in body fat, which basically means that the more body fat you carry, the more aromatase will be found, and therefore higher estrogen levels, which in turn produce lower testosterone. So it's very, very interesting. We come back to the issue of decreasing body fat. The more you decrease body fat, the less the testosterone that both men and women produce will be aromatized. Now, some of the things that will help. What helps? Sesame seed, fenugreek seeds, especially things that have fiber, because fiber helps the insulin response to carbohydrates, which of course is related to how we put on fat. So all of these things really work together. Decreasing body fat and building lean muscle mass is really what we want to do, because this protects us against cancer. Chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds, raw oat groats. All of these, especially like with flax seeds, the hulls are especially powerful in inhibiting aromatase, because what it does, it binds what is called sex hormone binding globulin, and it's very important to have this bound so estrogen isn't available. It locks it up. Mm-hmm. And so by using chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds, and like I mentioned, oat groats, these are very, very powerful. Now, another thing to block estrogen or to block the aromatase, foods that are high in selenium, foods that are high in zinc. Mm-hmm. Green tea is another one that helps greatly, and as well as the supplementing with melatonin. Now, really? Melatonin is very, very powerful. That's why it's been used as a anti-aging supplement as such. It's something that I have done for a number of years. I've taken melatonin in the evenings, which I found also increased my natural human growth hormone levels, which basically burns body fat. Mm. So also the amino acids, arginine, lysine, these are very, very good. Another way too, which brings me back to the discussion on HGH, is that if you take tryptophan on an empty stomach before going to sleep at night, what happens is this essential amino acid is converted into the neurotransmitter serotonin, and serotonin regulates your mood. Now at night, what happens with serotonin is that it's converted into melatonin, which of course improves the quality of sleep. It allows that really deep sleep, and it's only during that deep, deep sleep that the pituitary gland squirts HGH. And as that happens, the body starts packing on muscle and burning body fat. Now, I can go on and on about that. It's a fascinating topic, and especially as men and women grow older, it becomes more of a concern. because our natural levels of DHEA, HGH, all of these various neurotransmitters start to diminish with age, or neural hormones.
Yeah, and this is a fascinating topic, and this is definitely something that I've had my magnifying glass on for over the last year. And there's a lot of there's a lot of things I would love to jump into with this, but I think that's a great platform for this particular individual and for myself to dive in a little deeper on there. So the next one is from Pauline McNabb. She's asking, what's Peter's opinion on the supplement coenzyme Q10?
The reports on Q10 are phenomenal, great for the heart. And, people that take CoQ10, it's just a lot of literature out there, and I've taken it on occasion. I'm not taking it now, but I have, over a period of time. And, I sort of go in spurts on things like that. Just sort of listening to what my body's telling me. And I think this is very, very important that we listen to our body. As we listen to our body will give us a red light or a green light on certain things. Now, here's one thing I would really stress. Whatever it is that you choose to supplement with, muscle test it. And I'm more for getting what we need from the foods that we eat. Though, I will say that I do supplement. But the supplements that I use are herbal based or from something I know where it came from generally.
Or whole food, concentrate, that type of thing.
Right, exactly. And that's where my primary focus is. Now, it's not 100%, but it's very close in that area. I'm very cautious about what I put in my body.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you. I think that just a quick comment on that. I think that is actually the future of where we're going is a fusion between the pharmaceutical idea, but not the idea that's been taken out to such an extreme and it's been abused. It's more of a nutraceutical idea where we can derive really key ingredients in a natural supplement that's derived from whole foods ideally, and then that's a good way to create our insurance policy.
Exactly. And there's it's just like the various amino acids that are available that that assist for people that need it. And everybody's body is sending out a little different message all the time, and it's learning to fine tune that. Listen to it very carefully. Now, with all of that said, just be as organically natural as you possibly can be, and you can't go wrong that way.
Right.
There is no magic bullet out there, and I've written this. I wrote this years and years ago in my book, How Long Do You Choose to Live? I said, if you put a peel in the ground and water it, it ain't gonna grow a fruit.
Yeah.
And by the way, Ronnie, I did promise my readers that I would update that every 20 to 30 years. And so a new updated edition of How Long Do You Choose to Live getting ready to come out. I originally started writing it in 1982.
Wow.
So 1983. So we're due for an anniversary edition of it.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. The next question comes from my good friend Jay Denman. I would love to know what animal foods Peter eats.
Okay, well, at present I am vegan, but with that said, there was a time going back a number of years when I got very thin.
Yeah.
And at that point, what I did was I started drinking raw goat's milk. And this woman that was providing the raw goat's milk also provided me with raw colostrum, goat colostrum. And my body responded to that phenomenally. Now, I don't do that now, but, you know, it allowed me to regain some of that lean muscle mass that I had lost due to being very extreme in my diet. Now, you know, I have this tendency to be to go all the way if I go for something, and that doesn't serve you well at certain times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can definitely attest to that.
You have to weigh and measure. You know, you have to hold on to the steering wheel of your own body and guide it. And if you start going off the road a little bit, or you start having if your flesh is coming off and you're really getting very, very thin, there's something wrong too. You need to readjust that.
Right.
Now, being thin is good, but I'm talking about being skinny.
Yeah, there's a difference, and I've definitely had that kind of thing happen to me through the initial years of my raw food and vegetarian endeavors, and I'm very much still a part of that culture. It brings up an interesting idea of kind of more of the Indian approach to a vegetarian society, where they were primarily a vegetarian society for thousands of years, and the way that they were able to do it was by incorporating raw cultured dairy products.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a very important idea for people to just understand, that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. But for me personally, I'm a vegetarian, and that's my belief and my core principle on how I personally want to live my life. And I'm willing to dance around certain things if it allows me to hold on to that foundation for myself. So I think a lot of people they swing way too to one side, whether it be like the carnivore extremism or it be the vegan extremism. Extremism and fascism in any fashion is unhealthy.
Exactly, Ronnie. You know, because what starts happening is all of a sudden you're looking over your shoulder and you think, where the food police are coming to check to see what I'm eating. And this guilt, it's not,
oh my God.
There are no gold stars being passed out. You are what you are, and if you do the best you can, do the most amount of good and the least amount of harm, and do not make it a religion, it's about getting the results that you want in your life.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not rallying around the flag. As much as you know, I can go back, Ronnie, and when I first started writing about raw foods, I basically was the only raw foodist I knew. Personally, I was the only raw foodist I knew, and then I had convinced a lot of other people to become raw foodists, and then I realized that I had created a lot of fanatics.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, wait a minute. It's not about fanaticism. You just do the most amount of good, the least amount of harm. And because somebody has raw yogurt, they are not an apostate. The devil didn't get into their head.
Burn them at the cross.
I mean, you know, come on, folks. Some of our longest lived cultures, where people live the longest, incorporate many of the things you just mentioned, Ronnie.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, hey, you want to live long? Look at the people who live long. What are they doing? They give you a good model. Can we improve upon it? Well, yes, I think we can. But at least, let's take that base and then build on that foundation.
Right.
And that's basically what I've been doing all my life.
Right. The beauty in the times that we live in is that we have opulent abundance of choices where none of our ancestors could even fathom the amount of options available to us. And the idea of reductionism and trying to cut out almost everything that we have available is not only irrational, but in a lot of ways it's very disrespectful to the abundance that we have. And I think from all the things that you touched on, it harbors a negative magnetic frequency that's being sent out to the universe saying this person is not living in gratitude, they don't want this, whatever. And it only creates negative results health-wise, mentally, emotionally, and in the exterior results that they're trying to create for themselves.
Absolutely, Ronnie. Any judgment is toxic.
Right. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Okay, well, it looks like we are at the end of our time limit here. This was an incredible interview. I think people are going to gain a lot out of it. I know that I gained a lot out of it, a lot of new ideas, and just really taking the time out in each day to be grateful for everything that I have. So thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Ronnie. I'm honored again.
Where can everybody, and I'm gonna post your links on the website, but for all the listeners, where can people reach you?
Facebook is a great way to get an immediate contact with me. I will be opening up a new website here shortly called longevitysage.com. And eventually, and people also get to me from peterragnar.com. They'll all be connected. But I've got some new ideas, some new things I want to present to the public. And but especially staying in touch with me on Facebook is, you'll get an immediate response from me there.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Peter. Like I said, this was a pleasure and an honor, and I hope you have the best day possible.
Hey, fantastic. Same to you, Ronnie. I appreciate it.
Yep, we'll talk to you soon.